Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Video Game Easter Eggs, the series where we uncover some of the best Easter eggs in video games, with the only rule being they cannot have been seen on my channel before. In today's video, we experiment with an abandoned nuclear bomb in Just Cause 4, we are treated to a homemade music video in the fantastic Control, and we discover yet another red balloon in Daymare 1998. If you think you know of an Easter egg that I'm yet to cover, then the best place to let me know is on Instagram, Twitter or Discord. The links to all three are in the description. Oh, and if you do enjoy these videos, then a like is hugely appreciated. It really does help a lot. Anyway, without further delay, let's get started. So first up, let's start with a game that I'm not sure many of you will have heard of. Daymare 1998 is a third-person survival horror game that aims to evoke the mood of the classic survival horror titles of the 90s like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Whilst it doesn't always achieve its goal, puzzles are often confusing and make little to no sense, enemy design is a bit on the bland side, and the less said about the voice acting the better.
The Sacred Heart Hospital. He's going there. And then he'll be there.
If you're looking for a game to scratch that survival horror itch before the Resident Evil 3 remake comes out, you could do a lot worse than Daymare 1998. When it comes to Easter eggs though, it seems that the Daymare developers followed the Dummy's Guide to Video Game Easter Eggs book to a T. More on that in a bit. First up, at the start of chapter 3, you wake up in an apartment. Upon further inspection, you can find several movie posters inspired by real life films, with classics like Face On and Dependence Week. In the next room, we see that this is in fact the workplace of Invader Studios, the developers of Daymare 1998. Along with more movie posters, my personal favourite being Die Soft, you can also find a dead Invader Studios employee. So you know how I mentioned that this game followed the Dummy's Guide to Video Game Easter Eggs? I meant that Daymare has two of the most common references found in video games. During chapter 2, you can find this. Surprise, surprise, a red balloon coming from a drain. Though credit where it's due, the drain has a couple of rather creepy looking eyes staring back at you, along with the paper boat Georgie was seen playing with in the 2017 film. Oh, and if you shoot the balloon, you also get the What Is It achievement. The final Daymare 1998 Easter egg, well in this video at least, can be found during chapter 3. After restoring power to the gas station, head down to the garage and take a look inside. So not only does this car look incredibly similar to the Delorean from the Back to the Future films, but next to the car you can find the Flux Capacitor, which is used to power the Delorean in the films.
A picture in my head! A picture of this! This is what makes time travel possible. The Flux Capacitor.
As if to hammer my point home even more, this isn't the last that we'll see of Back to the Future in this video. Right, up next, let's take a trip back to the gift that keeps on giving. Gears 5 continued the Gears of War tradition of having great Easter eggs, but this next Easter egg is a little different. If you load up the district map in Horde, you can spot an arcade. Both entrances to the arcade are locked and there seems to be no way in. Well, if you shoot this sign a lot, and I do mean a lot, it took nearly 400 bullets, you'll eventually hear this.
Yep, I'm ready.
So it sounds like an arcade machine every time you shoot the sign. Time to stock up on ammo and shoot the sign on the other side too. Shoot that sign enough and this will happen. So for some reason, the doors on the arcade blow up, allowing you to enter. This Easter egg's a bit weird really. After you've gained access to the arcade, there isn't much you can do. None of the machines can be interacted with and there's nothing of note in the room. Perhaps there's more to this Easter egg than meets the eye. Up next is the brilliant Control. When the game launched, I rushed through it looking for Easter eggs, meaning I didn't really take time to appreciate just how good Control actually is. But it turns out that after going back and playing Control over the Christmas break and enjoying it immensely, I missed quite a few Easter eggs on the first go round. The first of which can be found at the very beginning of the game. So on the surface of things, this high voltage sign may seem normal. However, it's the 1.21 gigawatts that caught my eye. This is the required voltage for time travel in the Back to the Future films.
But I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. 1.21 gigawatts!
Up next is a reference to one of the most iconic video game characters ever. In the Black Rock Quarry, you can find this. So, a crowbar. Pretty underwhelming. Just because it's a crowbar doesn't mean it's a reference to anything or anyone, right? Well, what if I told you that the name on the crowbar is Freeman Tools? You know who else uses a crowbar, has a last name of Freeman, and is an iconic video game character? That's right, it's Big Bird from Sesame Street. No, of course not, this is a nod to Half-Life protagonist Gordon Freeman and his trusty crowbar. This final control clip isn't necessarily an Easter egg, but it's something that a lot of people might miss and it's definitely worth sharing. Near the end of the game, you can enter a room in the motel and find this.
Really?
Just the same, there was a knock on the door, a thump on the floor, and the party turned. She walked in looking like Dynamite. She said, now come along and boogaloo through the...
So that was a song about Jessie by Dr. Darling. The actor who played Dr. Darling in game, Matthew Peretta, was actually nominated for the Best Performance in Video Games at the 2019 Game Awards, and Control is full of tapes like this for players to find. So last year I made a video covering 15 Easter eggs in Hunt Showdown. I thought I'd covered all of the major discoveries in the game, but it turned out I was wrong. Near the Blanc binary you can find this. So a lot of people believe this to be a Bob Ross reference, you know, the famous American painter? I mean, it definitely could be, or it could just be a random man who decided to paint in the wilderness, who knows. So the final game we're taking a look at today is Just Cause 4. A game we've covered so many Easter eggs in Just Cause 4, but with each update to the game comes more Easter eggs to find. The first Easter egg can be found at this location and is going to take some explaining.
Need to pick up that extra shift.
Let's go over those numbers again, no?
So somebody in a morph suit dancing in a building under construction. If you go away and come back, the colour of the morph suit will change, but other than that I have no idea what's going on here. This next Easter egg is definitely a contender for our saddest Easter eggs in video game series. At this location you can find this. So I don't really think this one needs any explaining. Rest in peace, Maddie. The final Easter egg in today's video will blow your socks off, literally. At this location you can find this. So an abandoned nuclear bomb. Me being the genius that I am, I tried to shoot the bomb, but unfortunately nothing happened. Time to call in the big guns. So after shooting 25 missiles from an attack helicopter, this happened.
Let's roll.
Even though we blew the bomb up, if you travel away from the area, and it doesn't need to be far away either, the bomb will respawn, allowing you to blow it up again and again. So that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, then a like is really appreciated. If you are a fan of Easter eggs and secrets in games, then perhaps consider subscribing, as that's what this channel is all about. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.